Hi everyone, it's Gitsie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a game review for a little indie game called Figment. Now this is a game that you may be familiar with. It has been knocking around for a little while and there are a few reviews available on YouTube for it, but they mainly focus on the look of the game rather than the feel, so I thought we could do a little bit of both today. This game is from Bedtime Digital Games. It's available on Steam at the moment for $14.99, but there is a free demo available as well, so what have you got to lose? Now to start off with, if you don't know anything about the game takes place within the mind of a human being. You play a character called Dusty, who is a cloth kind of reindeer character, and you also get accompanied by a little bird-like creature called Piper throughout the game. Now the game focuses on the fact that there is a nightmare invading the mind that Dusty lives within. They've stolen Dusty's scrapbook, which is full of memories. You can see where this is going. The worlds are connected by little bridges and connectors which kind of represent synapses within a human brain, and as you can see, the nightmarish creatures are very stereotypical. They look nightmarish, they're very dark, they're very sharp and angular, whereas as opposed to the other characters in the game who are all very kind of soft and comical and what a child might draw if they were asked to draw a fantasy creature. So the combat within the game, generally speaking, is not the most fast-paced. You do get a pre-warning of when creatures are going to appear because they make sounds. They also show little things on the ground like cracks and bevels to make it appear that something's going to turn up there. But the combat is what breaks up the rest of the game. The combat and the puzzles really do make the game slightly different every time you play it. There's no two ways to say it. The controls are slightly clunky. I do think it would be better played with a controller. I was playing with keyboard and mouse and I found it somewhat difficult to control Dusty in certain situations. Now, the nightmarish creatures that you fight are very basic, there's nothing really that bad about them, but I'm not entirely sure if younger children would find this game appealing because it can be a little bit too intense at times for younger people. Once you've completed a mission, you've solved a puzzle or you've fought an enemy, you then do get to go on and move on to a different world, and the different worlds are featured around different parts of the brain. So there's a creative centre, there's a musical centre, there's all different parts and pieces. The mayor lives in the central part of the brain. You're going to see him in a moment. And the central part of the brain is when the story really picks up. It's when you find out a little bit more about what's been going on, the fact that all of these different worlds are connected, and the fact that Dusty at some point has kind of been like the protector. So I guess if you were going to translate this into real life, Dusty is kind of like an escape mechanism or, you know, your fight or flight kind of situation. Dusty really is the central character in all of this. So as you can see, Dusty is in the middle of a fight with his wooden sword. This is where I said the gameplay can get a little bit clunky for my liking. It just feels a little bit too rigid, like you can't really do a huge amount. You can do a barrel roll, you can fight, that's pretty much it. There's nothing much more that you can do. You can also see what I meant about seeing cracks and bevels in the ground. It tells you when an enemy is going to turn up. Now the main enemy is this nightmarish creature, but he also has henchmen, as well as the different creatures that you have to fight with your sword, and every time you defeat one of his creatures, the nightmare gets slightly less strong, and you can do a little bit more in the game. The worlds kind of open up a little bit more. Now Dusty's about to travel to a different world, and this brings up a loading screen where you can see the beautiful artwork and the amazing creative worlds that the developers of this game have built to make it feel really interactive and really well-rounded. Quite a rich amount of artwork. So you can see there, every time that you travel to a new world, the path lights up and Dusty's little character icon moves around, and then he travels to that world. So this is Surreal City, this is where the mayor lives. The mayor is kind of like a goat type character. I'm not really entirely sure where the developers were going with that, but I kind of like it. I think it makes it appealing in a different kind of way. The artwork reminds me a lot of Frambo. If you played that game, you'll understand what I mean. If you haven't, go and play it. It's excellent. But the artwork it's kind of childish for my liking. It's a little bit too childish. I prefer my artwork to be a little bit more kind of Tim Burton in style if it's going to be childish. And I really don't think that this is a game for children based on the price tag and the kind of wider context of the game. The fact that you're trying to save a human brain from anxiety and depression. Having said that though, a lot of the elements within the game are very appealing to younger people. I mean, who does not want to ride around in a hot air balloon made out of an apple? But the fact that you have these nightmarish creatures to fight, as I said, may not make it suitable for younger viewers. Do I think it's worth the $14.99 price tag? If you like puzzle games and you're a big fan of the point and click adventure genre, I would go for it. It's a nice game that you can play multiple times without it getting too stale. However, if you just want a cute little indie game that you can fill up some time with or to help chill you out at the end of a big gaming session, this may not be worth $14.99 for you. You're probably better off waiting until there's a sale. The other thing as well is that this has an incredible soundtrack, which I do recommend listening to on YouTube if you can, and sometimes just picking up a game for the soundtrack alone can be worth it. Now, if you want to pick up Figment, it is available on Steam. As I said, I'll leave the link in the description below, and if you have any questions, leave them below and I will try and answer them as quickly as I can. Bye guys!
Without a sound, we all sneak through.